now chapter 5 talks about Adam's descendants to Noah. It says, this is the book of the generation of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them, and named them man when they were created. And when Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image, and he named him Seth. The days of Adam, after he fathered Seth, were 800 years. So Adam lived to be 800 years old. That's pretty amazing. And he had other sons and daughters. My bad says that that's all the days that Adam had lived was 930 years, and he died. So summing it all up, Adam of course lived 930 years old. That's a long time. It says when Seth had lived 105 years, he fathered Enosh. Seth lived after he fathered Enosh 870 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. So Seth was 912 years old when he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he fathered Kenan. Enosh lived after he fathered Kenan 815 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he fathered Mahalalel. Kenan lived after he fathered Mahalalel 840 years, and had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he fathered Jared. Mahalalel lived after he had fathered Jared 830 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he fathered Enoch. Jared lived after he fathered Enoch 800 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered I'm trying to say this right, Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. It's pretty awesome. Enoch never died because God took him. God just took him like that. Enoch never died. He just disappeared, pretty much. He went to heaven. He just disappeared from the earth. Went to heaven. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he fathered Lamech. Methuselah lived after he fathered Lamech 782 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he fathered a son, and called his name Noah, saying, out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the painful toil of our hands. Lamech lived after he fathered Noah 595 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Of course, when you study the Bible, 7 in God means completion. So, yes, Lamech lived 777 years. That's like completion in God, and of course, number 7 is. It says after Noah was 500 years old, Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, when you there's a chart down here, and basically the oldest person ever to live on earth was, of course, Methuselah. He lived over 900 years. Now, this is, of course, before the flood, and before the flood, people lived to be almost 1,000 years old. I mean, of course, today that's insane to think about. That someone living close to 1,000 years old. Are you kidding me? No, I mean, the Bible teaches it. I mean, it's in the Word of God that people used to live that long back then, before God destroyed the world by the flood. But and I believe biblically, I believe whenever God sent a flood on the earth, and after the flood had receded and all of that, I believe, biblically, that after the flood, that God had a cutoff point for man. Like, basically said, man can now only live up to this point. And I think the oldest person that's ever lived that I've been living was like 120 something years old. Usually, you know, that's the oldest person I can think of, maybe 130. That's nothing compared to, of course, living close to 1,000 years. I mean, that's just, you know, amazing. But before the flood, people used to live that long. Now these days, you know, after the flood, of course, people can live up to 120, possibly 130. You know, that's the oldest person. I think 130. I believe the 130 was like the oldest person I've ever seen like live. You know, ever since I've been living. But you know, it's pretty amazing. You know, but of course, pre-flood times, people lived to be close to 1,000 years old. You know, now these days, people can live to be 120, 130. Because after the flood, God of course put a point to where you won't be able to live past this certain point. As before the flood, people could live, you know, 1,000 years possibly. But now God has pretty much set a cutoff point after the flood, so that people can only live up to 120, possibly 130 years, which is still a long time. But compared to almost 1,000 years before the flood, wow, you know, that's just amazing. But you know, that's chapter 5. So I'll be right back with chapter 6.